Hi, my name is Jody Prevatt, District Manager from Houston, Texas. What I'm going to show you today is a system called the From Your Perspective. Michaela, thank you for taking the time out with me today. And what we like to do with most of our clients is try to get an idea from their perspective where we can be of any further help. And if we can, that's great. And if we can't, that's okay too. Our firm goes through a 5-step process. The first step is really sitting down with you and setting goals. Step 2 is prioritizing those goals. Step 3 is initiating a plan. And quite frankly, I think this is one of the most important parts, because how many times have you heard someone say, I wish I'd have done this 20 or 30 years ago, they just never got around to it. Step 4 is actually what we're doing today. We're kind of reviewing and updating your file. And the reason why we do this is because I know you work hard for your money. We want to make sure your money's working just as hard for you as you do for it. And if we do all 4 of these steps correctly, hopefully it'll lead us to step 5, which is financial independence. Everything that we do is strictly personal, confidential. What I like to do is update your file and make sure that we have everything correct. Your current date of birth is 7/13/68, is that correct?
Yes.
Great. And I have your address as 2802 Shadow Canyon Lane, is that still correct? Great. And now in your home, do you own that or do you rent it?
I own.
You own it. Great, great, great. And your occupation, are you still at Halliburton?
Sure am.
Okay, great. And your business phone number is 713-972-9911. Great. And on these next 4 pages for me, Michaela, what I need you to do is go through and fill them out for me. On this last page, it says that I'm interested in discussing. You might be interested in some of these or none of these, and that's okay with me. But if you are interested in any of these, just go through and check off what you're interested in, and then go back with 1 being the most important and 10 being the least important, and prioritize it for me in order of what's most important to you now. Okay? And what I need to do is I actually had a phone call right before I got in here, and I need to return that phone call. So I'm going to let you fill this out by yourself, and I'm just going to take a quick break and make a phone call. Do you mind?
Sure.
Oh, great. You got that finished for me. That's fantastic. Well, what I like to do now is just kind of walk through this with you and take a few seconds and walk through some areas on it that I think might be of interest to you. The page here where it says current status, I noticed that you checked off that you haven't checked your Social Security benefits in the last 12 months.
That's true.
Okay, great. What I'll be able to do, and it's a free service that we provide, we'll be able to go ahead and get that Social Security benefit check for you, and we'll have them mail you the statement, because a lot of times what we see is a lot of inaccurate readings on that, and we'll be able to do that. It's a free service that we provide. I noticed that you didn't have a will. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, whether you know it or not, the state of Texas has a will for you, and I can tell you right now, you're probably not going to like it, especially if you have children. In the state of Texas, for instance, if something were to happen to you, the courts would appoint a guardian for your children. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't know if some people in my family, I would want them to watch my children versus other people. That's where a will comes into place. And because you're one of our preferred clients, what I can actually do is refer you to one of our attorneys who can actually give you a discounted price on a will. I'll give you their number and give you their card, and that way you can give them a call and just say, hey, you're a preferred client of Jody Prevatt, and they'll automatically know what to do and take care of you at that point. Also, I noticed on here that you checked off yes, that you are in good health and have no problem, no difficulty purchasing insurance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, are you currently on any type of medication?
No.
Okay, great. Okay. And over here on this next page right here, it says your current income is between $60,000 and $125,000. Now, I know that's kind of a broad number. Can you give me more of an approximate figure?
87,000.
87,000, great. And I noticed on your life insurance you checked off between 75 and 200,000. Now, is that all group term insurance, or do you actually own some of that?
That's group term.
That's group term insurance. Okay, great. And I noticed on your house this is you have is this a 30-year note or is it a 15?
30-year.
It is a 30-year note. Now, do you add anything extra every month to pay off that note early?
Yeah, so it equals up to 1 extra payment a year.
Okay, so about how much is that a month that you put aside?
About $100.
$100, great. Okay. Now, you also checked off that you have a savings and CDs. Now, is it like my savings account? Is it more of a put and take account? Or do you have a specific goal in mind that you're setting money aside for?
I'm saving for retirement.
Okay, great, great. And how much have you saved so far for retirement?
40-something thousand.
About $40,000. And do you know what the interest rate you're getting on that is at the bank?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's probably pretty low, you know.
I think it's around 2%.
About 2%? Okay, great. And you also checked off that you have an IRA?
I do.
Okay, and how long have you had your IRA?
Well, ever since I've been working for this company, I'm thinking 7 years.
Okay, how much have you accumulated in there so far?
$70,000.
$70,000. Wow, that's a great job. Okay. And you said that's with a bank or a mutual fund company or?
It's with whatever my work has for me. I think it's a mutual fund company.
Okay, so that's really probably more of a 401k than an IRA. Is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
And they put the money
Yes,
out of your
you're right,
paycheck?
yeah.
Okay, great. So you have 401k there. And does your company match?
Yes.
Oh, they do. Great. How much do they match?
4%.
4%. Fantastic, fantastic. And on this last page, it says, I'm interested in discussing. I noticed that you picked ways to provide supplemental income for my retirement, ways to accumulate more money, and ways to provide for my family in the event of death is like your top 3 priorities. If you had to set aside a certain dollar amount on a weekly or monthly basis to achieve your goals, how much do you think you could set aside?
I think about $200.
About $200? Great, $200. Not going to take any food off the table. You pretty comfortable with that number?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, the thing that I would like to ask from you is when I come back, I need 2 things from you. The first one is I need you to ask a lot of questions because an educated client is the best client. Wouldn't you agree? So I think asking questions is very, very important to our process here. The second thing I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you, when I come back and I lay out the recommendations to you, and if any of the recommendations make sense, say, yeah, Jody, let's move forward with it. However, on the other side of it, if none of the recommendations make any sense to you whatsoever, okay, that's okay too. And you say, you know what, Jody, these don't make sense to me. There's no need for us to move any forward. And guess what? That's acceptable. No is an acceptable answer during this whole process, okay? I'm a big boy. I can handle no, all right? So what I like to do is go ahead and take this information back to my office and come back. And is this time a good time for next week?
Yeah.
It is? Great. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and pencil us in for the same time next week. Is this time a good time to get together next week?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So this time, 6 p.m., fantastic. Well, listen, I really, really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for having me. What you'll find out by utilizing the From Your Perspective process is you'll find 2 important things from your client. First, whether or not they have money, and 2, whether they have an interest. Because without those 2 things, you will not make a sale. They must have money, and they must have interest. Matter of fact, if the client goes through and checks off nothing in the page that says, I'm interested in discussing, then what do you have? You have nothing, because the client is not interested in following through with the sale. Also, if they go through and check off everything, however, they have no money to set aside to achieve their goals, again, you have nothing. There's no need to move forward because the client can't move forward with the sale. What it will allow you to do is figure out in a short time frame whether or not the client has those 2 critical things, interest and money. What I can tell you is that, matter of fact, I can guarantee it, that if you use the From Your Perspective system, you will increase your sales. Guaranteed. So please contact your local life representative and they will be able to give you more details.